Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mills, and today I'm making a video about jobs for American expats in the Dominican Republic. And this isn't super particular just to Americans, but I'm speaking to Americans because I'm American and I worked abroad in the DR, so this is just my experience. If you aren't subscribed yet, if this video or my other videos are helpful to you, if you can take a second to hit subscribe, give this video a like, comment below, all of that helps me so much, so I really appreciate that. Also, if you're new here, I did move to the Dominican Republic in 2017, so I wanted to give you some of the insight that I have and jobs that I found that are practical and possible for Americans to get. Now, if you're moving to the Dominican Republic, probably if you're around my age or if you're not retired yet, you do need a source of income. There's a big misconception that it is so much cheaper to live there, which in certain areas it definitely is, but in other areas it's more expensive. For example, paying for gasoline for the car, it's more expensive than it is here. Or, sorry, I'm so pregnant that I can't breathe when I talk. Or if you're importing a lot of foods that are American or from another country, you're paying more than you would if you're getting them in the US. But overall, you can live very frugally there. Unfortunately, a lot of us just need income. So what did I do? I taught abroad, and that is one of the most popular, I would say, things to do job-wise when Americans are moving abroad. Something that I did, I guess, a little bit differently is that I taught a full grade. I taught 4th grade rather than teaching English as a second language or TEFL, which is more common. Both of these are great options for Americans moving to the Dominican Republic because you don't need, in almost all of the cases, you don't need a cedula or residency. So in my case, I just used my American passport, my tourist visa, and I got paid in pesos. I did set up a Dominican bank account, but I did not need residency. So that's always a good option for American expats, many of which don't get their cedula or their residency because it just doesn't make sense for them at the time. And a lot of the times in DR, you don't need your residency unless you're doing certain things, staying for a really long time, buying property, things like that. So that worked out really well for me. I would always consider looking into teaching. If you don't have experience teaching, I had experience with kids and I had my bachelor's degree and all of those requirements. The requirements for teaching in terms of having your own grade and teaching all subjects are stricter than teaching English or how to speak English. So if that's not your style, I definitely recommend teaching English abroad or English as a second language. In the DR, they're hiring for this all the time. You might not find those job postings as often as you'll see for Japan and South Korea and China and stuff like that, but they're there. Sometimes you need to be more proactive and actually find language centers to reach out to yourself, find schools, make contacts and stuff. I actually did that with the private school that I taught at. I found the school and reached out on my own. I didn't see a job posting or anything. So if you're a little bit proactive, you can definitely find a job. But there are postings online. Sometimes I see them on sites like Dave's ESL Cafe, or I think it's called Go Abroad, or Teach Overseas, Teach Away, maybe. I'll link some of them. But they often have jobs in the DR too. They just didn't have any in the area that I wanted to be in. I knew that I wanted to be in Jarabacoa specifically, but definitely consider teaching. Even if you haven't done it before, you can easily get certified as a TEFL certified teacher online. It's not that expensive. It doesn't take that long. And in terms of pay, I got $400 US a month. And then my friends who taught English, they made anywhere from $300 a month to, honestly, in the very touristy areas like Punta Cana, it could be $600 a month. So it does depend where you are. That is the highest that I've seen. I would say 400, 500 would be more average, definitely. But if you're a legit teacher and you have a teaching certificate and years of teaching and you have experience in one subject in particular, there are a ton of private schools and international schools that you can work at as an American, and they pay much better. So, for example, the Carol Morgan School is pretty much the best school in the DR in terms of international schools. There's a lot of good ones, but that's a very infamous one everyone knows, so I'll use them. I think the teachers there make like $20,000 or more a year. And I think Santiago Christian School, they make about $20,000. So there's definitely options if you have the experience. And I don't think that they require residency either. So that's good. Now, if teaching in any way is not your thing, which I totally understand, whether it be adults or children, it's hard, you can look into tourism. So there are some resorts, hotels, boutique hotels, bed and breakfasts, the Airbnb type hostel things that will hire Americans. Now, this can be a little bit harder because if it's a big hotel or a resort, a well-known, like let's say Hard Rock, they're most likely going to require residency, and they probably don't pay that well. Most Dominicans or most people that work there aren't making a lot unless you're in a higher position or a management role or something like that. And if you have hospitality experience, then that works in your favor and you might find a legit position in one of those higher roles, and of course, where are the resorts in a touristy area. So they'll often pay a little bit more. So definitely worth looking into. I also very briefly looked into like an excursion type company in Jarabacoa, but they mostly hire locals, which totally makes sense. And they also paid super low. But in Punta Cana, Cabarete, Las Serenas, Samaná, they might be more likely to hire an American, someone who speaks English for their guests coming, for tourists, and Spanish, or maybe you speak French or something too, and they might be hiring and they might not require the residency. Another option that I see Americans do job-wise would be to work in a call center. I probably would not do that, but I do know Americans who have. It's a good option because sometimes they pay more, but again, they don't always require residency. And again, I know I keep talking about the residency, but it can be a long process. It's about $2,000, and most people just don't get it. So I'm just trying to give you options for those of you who are interested in moving there on the tourist visa. For the call centers that will hire without residency, it depends on the pay. If you're in a bigger city, Santiago, Santo Domingo, it's a little bit better, of course, and they do give kind of like commission and bonuses, but it's a call center and you're making phone calls. The good thing is a lot of the call centers are looking for English speakers. And if you're a native English speaker, then you kind of have a leg up, I guess, on non-native English speakers that are working there. Although I will say, Dominicans who know how to speak English, they're so good at it that I'm sure that they're perfectly fine getting those jobs. Don't expect a huge salary at a call center, but it is an option, especially if you want to be in Santiago or in Santo Domingo. There's more of them there for sure, and I know of some who do hire Americans. Other than that, if you just want to work like at a store or at, I don't know, another Dominican type of business, it's hard to get a job without residency there. A lot of them just won't hire you because it's illegal in certain industries and they don't want to get in trouble. And the DR also has a law that 70% of employees have to be Dominican, which I think is great. But obviously it makes it a little bit harder if you're American and you just want to work like at a coffee shop or something. It probably won't happen unless you have residency. So just keep in mind, if your like heart is set on a Dominican business, that isn't something that I mentioned, it might be hard to get the job just because you don't have your residency. So if it pays a lot and it's worth it, then maybe it's worth pursuing your residency, or maybe you need to find a different job. I will also say something that's pretty useful, a site that some people don't know, it's called Workaway.com. And that's an awesome site to find opportunities all over the world, but in our case, in the DR, and I've seen things like working at a hostel in exchange for room and board. Most of these positions don't pay, or they pay very low because you're getting a free place to live and free food, and you're typically not working a full 40-hour week. But it's good to get to know the country, to during your transition see different areas, or maybe even go on a trip before you move there, do a workaway, and then see what area you like and make some connections for a potential real job. But I've had friends who've done that, and there's everything. You can go check it out, but there's everything from the hostels to helping people on farms. There's lots of agriculture in DR, if you didn't know, and people need help on their farms or on ecotourism places. The Dominican Treehouse Village, which I'm dying to go to, is on there, and they hire come bartend or come be a videographer, and we'll let you stay. There's nanny positions who want someone just to watch the kids and teach them English. Those are mostly in the tourist areas or Santo Domingo. There's some really cool opportunities that I've seen working with animals, the farming, hostels. So really cool way to see the country if you're not super stressed for money and a little bit more flexible on where you're going to stay. And finally, those are the jobs that I mostly hear and know about for foreigners or American expats in DR. But I will say my number one recommendation to everyone, if you watch my channel, you probably know this by now, is to get a remote job. This lets you have all the flexibility you want, stay in the industry that you're in or have experience in, or if you have no experience, there's a ton of entry-level jobs. Let's say teaching English in DR, you make $300 a month, let's just say, right? Depending on the area, we don't know. And online, you can start out as a virtual assistant for a very small company or something, or doing data entry, something entry level, right? And you could probably make $10 an hour. That will pay you much more per month than teaching, right? So it doesn't give you the full experience of working in the country, of course, but it gives you that added cushion of having more money to spend and save while you're there. In addition to teaching, I also worked online part-time, and then my second year, I worked online full-time and didn't teach. I just tutored on the side. So I was able to save up a lot because first of all, I had bills in the States still, like my car insurance and stuff, unfortunately. So I would have been able to save more, but I was still making so much more, $20, $30, $40 an hour that I would never make in the DR unless I found a very high level business job that would also sponsor me, which is hard to find there. So if you have the means, I highly recommend looking for a remote job. I use the site FreeUp to get a lot of my clients. You can use Upwork. There are so many online job websites now. Do your own research, find one that sounds legit, look it up, look up reviews, read about it, obviously you don't want to jump into something that could be a scam or not pay well. Don't do any of those things that are paying you to do a survey or something like that, a legit online job. Even Craigslist has remote positions. Indeed, Monster, LinkedIn, just type in remote and see what you find. There's a lot of entry-level things, and the pay when you're making dollars goes a lot farther when you convert it to pesos. So for me, that was the best option. But my first year, and when I first moved there, I wanted the experience of working and living in the DR. So it was awesome. Just note that it doesn't it's not going to make you rich by any means. It's going to just allow you to live pretty comfortably. And you also have kind of nonprofit jobs. I didn't mention that, but a lot of them don't pay, or they're more like missionaries, so they have to get sponsors and whatnot. You could definitely look into any nonprofit jobs or organizations, but again, they'll probably mostly hire Dominicans unless you are a missionary, and then the pay is very low or not at all. So just something to keep in mind. Sorry, my hair is so weird today. Like, I just actually washed it and did it, and I'm doing a kind of routine video for those of you who asked finally, but it's been parting very weird, and I feel like I have a comb over, but it's fine. Anyway, that is my list of jobs for American expats when moving to the DR. And once you get your residency, you can definitely do things like real estate, and other jobs open up too once you have that residency. But like I said, it can take a little bit, and most people want to have a few years living there and experiencing life and seeing if they want to make that investment before doing it. So there's more options once you have residency, but I think that most of you watching probably don't, so this video is for you. Please comment below any of your suggestions, any jobs that I might have missed, because I kind of did this off the top of my head, and I'm sure there's lots of jobs that I am not thinking of that are available to American expats as well. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. You know, I always love to answer your questions or help out in any way that I can. And any video requests for other videos like this or different topics, feel free to leave them below as well. As long as you subscribe, I will make whatever video you want. Thank you so much for watching. Again, new videos every week, and I will see you guys soon.